ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
The LouieTeeNetwork is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Sunday Night Football overtime. Steelers, Packers. Aaron Rodgers going up against his former team for the first time since leaving, giving him an opportunity to beat all 32 teams. Could not get it done, as the Pittsburgh Steelers, who jumped out to a 16-7, I think it got as high as 19-7 because they had the football to start the second half, got a field goal, blew that 12-point lead, and ended up, I think the Packers scored 28 unanswered points in the game to take a 35-19 lead. Ultimately, the Packers would give up a touchdown late, but it was inconsequential. They win the game 35-25, run their record to 5-1-1 on the season to keep ahead of the Detroit Lions in the NFC North division. Meanwhile, the Steelers stay on top of the AFC North despite falling to 4-3 on the season. But as we talked about last week when they lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, they made their road to winning that division a lot tougher because their schedule is about to heat up. And seeing that Cincinnati lost today and they don't know how to build momentum, but look out for the Ravens now, right? They get the win today against Chicago. Lamar's going to be back on Thursday versus the Dolphins. This thing looks like it's going to heat up. And that division might be won with 9 wins. Sounds crazy right now, but wouldn't shock me in the least. Baltimore is already at 5 losses. They haven't, they're not done losing for the remainder of the season. They're going to lose more games, but I would not be shocked if they won the division. I wouldn't be shocked if Cincinnati came back and won the division because this Steelers team doesn't look like a division-winning team. We'll get to them a little bit later on, but to the victors go the spoils. Let's start this conversation off talking about the Green Bay Packers and what they were able to accomplish in this game. Big win for the Packers after a kind of rough first half, missed a couple of field goals, missed some opportunities. They did a great job, and what probably ultimately saved them in this game was their ability to stop those Steeler drives from converting over into touchdowns. A lot of long field goals tonight by Chris Boswell. At least 3 of his field goals tonight. I wouldn't be shocked if there were 4 because I believe he kicked 5 on the evening. I think he kicked 5 on the evening. They scored 2 touchdowns, went for an 2-point conversion, didn't get it. So that's 13 at 25. So 4 field goals for him. I'm not sure if any of them were less than 50 yards. Don't quote me on that. At least 3 of them were north of 50 yards, which he drilled all of his field goals tonight. But it was their ability to stop those drives from converting into touchdowns, forcing the Steelers to have to settle for field goals, that ultimately kept them in the game while the offense was struggling early in the first half. I thought this was going to be a Steelers win. I thought this was going to be the first half played out exactly the way that I thought the entire game was going to play out. That the Packers were going to play the Steelers game, allow them to lull them to sleep, kind of be sleepwalking, which is what they did in the first half. They sleptwalked through the first half, kind of got into that gritty, nasty Steelers, muddy type of performance where, it's not a lot of points being scored. The Steelers are able to kind of dominate the game, score with field goals, however they can get to, points on the scoreboard, but it's usually via field goals, try to beat you up physically. And the Packers kind of went along with that narrative in the first half. Then something flipped in the second half, and I really don't know what it was, except for Jordan Love. That's the obvious answer, is that he just got cooking in the second half. I think he had 22 2 straight completions at one point, if I'm not mistaken. They had no answers for him. It's performances like these, and I said this before the season started, that I felt like Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the NFC, and I still do from a talent perspective. But if you're just talking about who's playing the position the best in the conference right now, when I said before the season started, it's Jaden Daniels, it's Jordan Love, and then it's kind of like everyone else in the conference to me. Like Jared Goff is cool, but you're not taking Jared Goff over Jordan Love. You're not taking Jared Goff over Jaden Daniels, right? And so, Jalen Hurts is cool, but from a talent perspective, you're not taking him over Love. You're not taking him over Jaden Daniels, right? He's cool. And so that's how the kind of the pecking order in the NFC to me looks like. Like Dak Prescott's cool, right? But as you saw today, you put a little pressure on him, and I knew that was going to happen. I told Cowboys fans, I said, I really feel bad for you guys because you think you're better because you blew us out, and we just stink. You caught us at our worst point of the season. You caught us when we were down our worst, and you took advantage of it, as you should. But make no mistake about it, you're not good. And I did tell my dad that today. We watched the game together. And I said, you're not good, bro. You're giving up 40 today. He didn't want to hear any of it until he realized, damn, we giving up 40 today. And when I look at Jordan Love, it's performances like these that make me say he's the best quarterback in the conference. Now, I'd still take Jaden Daniels over him in a heartbeat. But Love, I loved him. If you recall, if you watched my draft prospects 101 videos back in 2020, you would know that I absolutely loved Jordan Love coming out of Utah State. Thought he was the next Aaron Rodgers. I said it's not a coincidence to me that the Packers took him because his game to me felt very Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre-esque, right? A lot of off schedule, crazy platform throws, foot off the ground. Like you've seen, Jordan Love with neither of his feet on the ground. We've seen Aaron Rodgers with neither of his feet on the ground throwing the football. That throw he had tonight to Christian Watson, where he's throwing across his body, he's rolling to his right. That's Aaron Rodgers. That's Brett Favre, right? 1 foot in the air, kind of flinging it. It looks really funky. It's dangerous, but he lives on that dangerous side, right? The big knock on Jordan Love has always been the turnovers, right? You could get Jordan Love to force a football where it doesn't belong. He's got such a big arm. So sometimes big arm quarterbacks believe they can fit the football into tight spaces. It gets deflected. Next thing you know, it's picked off. And every now and again, Jordan Love will throw a football where you go, bro, what were you thinking? He's kind of scaled those back. He threw a couple of those balls up tonight, though, that were like, hey, it's anybody's ball. If you want it, go get it. But they always seem to fall. That the Tucker Kraft one was like, but the defender wasn't looking, so it worked out. The one to Christian Watson, there's a Steeler defender that if he just takes one more step backwards instead of jumping in the air, he's going to pick it off, right? But he jumps too soon. The ball goes over his hands, straight into the arms of Christian Watson. These are dangerous passes. These are no. Yes, type of offerings from Jordan Love, but there aren't many that get away with it like Jordan Love does because he's mastered this art form of throwing the bitch up for grabs, but it's more so towards his guy than it is just, hey, it's a 50-50. Somebody go get it. Hope my guy comes down with it. He got this uncanny ability to somehow guide that football to where it's supposed to go, its final destination. And when he's getting those footballs to land in the right spot, he's as dangerous a quarterback as you will find in the NFL because he can dink and dunk you, as he showed tonight. He can be on time. He can be on schedule. He can get the ball out of his hands. He can distribute. He can make those throws down the field, the intermediate throws. He can make the deep shots. He can make those off-schedule, off-platform throws that just make you go, wow. He can do it all. He's mobile. He doesn't love to run. He doesn't want to run. Sometimes it's like pulling teeth to get him to leave the pocket. But he's also capable of doing that as well. And so he was in his bag in the second half. They scored on every single possession from a 19-7 deficit to a 35-19 lead at one point in that fourth quarter before the Steelers scored on their final possession offensively. So you're talking about 28 unanswered points, about 22 straight completions during that stretch where he was just in fuego. And they really put it on his shoulders tonight. There wasn't a big, massive run game attached to this performance for Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers offense. Josh Jacobs didn't get it going tonight. None of the Packers backs had it going from a running standpoint. We saw one of the backs come in. I forget his name, but he had some really good catches out of the backfield. He had a couple of nice hits in the run game too. I think it was Wilson who spelled Josh Jacobs, but the run game wasn't significant tonight. It was all about Jordan Love. He threw for almost 400 yards. How much did he end up with? 360 on the night. 360, 8 incompletions for Jordan Love, 29 of 37 for 360, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was fantastic tonight. And it's going to be interesting to see as things continue to ratchet up and they play better defenses, because the Steelers are not a good defense. What we're not going to do is sit here and act like the Steelers defense is good, because it's not. We just watched Joe Flacco in Cincinnati carve him up the week prior. You know, I watched Carson Wentz and the Vikings move the football up and down the field, but couldn't find the end zone. Like, this is not a good Steelers defense. So he did what he was supposed to do, just like he did against Dallas on a Sunday night about a month ago. He did what he was supposed to do, carved those boys up, threw for a shit ton of yards, a bunch of touchdowns, scored 40 points in that game, did what he was supposed to do. I want to see what happens when he plays good defenses. The one really good defense that they've played this season was Cleveland, and they lost, and they only scored 10 points. I want to see what happens when they like. I don't think Philadelphia is a really good defense. I think they can move the football on them, but we'll see what happens. Philadelphia is going to pose a different set of challenges to this Packers offense. I'm still not sold on Green Bay. I'm still not sold because of the first half of this game. And again, that's football, right? You're not going to have your fastball every single quarter, every single half, every single play. You're not going to have it every single game. You know, some times you come out flat, you never get it going, you never get into a rhythm, and next thing you know, you look up, you've run out of time, and you've lost the football game. It happens. This Packers team for me still seems like they're missing something. Still feels like there's a key ingredient. And maybe it's the need to force turnovers or something, which they did a little bit of tonight. I don't know. Something seems like it's a little off. The defense was solid tonight. It wasn't great. I don't think this is a great Packers defense. Early in the season, we were like, oh my God, look at Green Bay's defense. They can pose a ton of problems with their ability to rush the quarterback when they're dialed in, when Michael Parsons is doing what he did tonight, attracting 3 and still, getting pressure. It allows guys like Rashawn Gary and others to get opportunities to get to the quarterback. Devontae Wyatt. They've got a lot of guys that can wreak havoc up front. And so that portion of their defense, really good. I love their linebackers, Quay Walker, Edgerrin Cooper. These guys fly around the football field. The secondary is underrated, right? The safeties are really good. The corners leave a little bit to be desired, although I think Keyshawn Nixon is playing his ass off, to be honest with you. But I actually think you can exploit the secondary, but you got to have the time to do it. And that's the problem, is that they fly around in that front 7. But if you can protect up front, give the quarterback time. We saw Arizona move the football last week. We saw Dallas move the football on this team. We've seen teams have success against Green Bay. We saw in the second half against Cincinnati their ability to move the football on this Packers defense. So, and Rodgers in the first half was moving the football. They just, again, for whatever reason, they would sputter out and have to settle for these long field goals. But credit this Green Bay defense for forcing turnovers. Credit that Green Bay defense for not allowing the Steelers to get into the end zone. That was really the key to this game. Is the Packers, when they got it going, when they revved up the engine, they weren't settling for field goals. They were finding pay dirt. Meanwhile, the Steelers in the first half, when they had ample opportunities to run away and hide with this football game, they settled for field goals. almost every single time. You got the one DK Metcalf touchdown before the half. Outside of that, it was field goal after field goal after field goal. They started the second half with another field goal on another drive that had promise. They simply could not finish off drives, and you have to give the Green Bay Packers defense credit for that. But this game was all about the Jordan Love show and what he was able to do in the second half of this game, really taking this game over. Good to see Christian Watson back out on the football field. He makes a massive difference with this offense. They still aren't made whole yet. They still are looking to get all their receivers back. I think you get Jaden Reed back to go along with Golden. Now you have a full complement of guys, Romeo Doubs, obviously Christian Watson. You know, now you may have that full complement of receivers that you're looking for. You didn't have Dontavian Wicks tonight. So they got a bunch of guys now. Now you got to figure out how they all fit together. And this is a dangerous Packers team. Tucker Kraft, fantastic. I'm so jealous. That's the type of tight end that I want for my favorite team. A guy that can exploit a secondary, a guy that's athletic enough to catch a football, make something happen after the catch. Tucker Kraft is such a good football player. He's such a really good tight end. In a league full of really good tight ends, he's one of the best. And it's amazing because they spent a first-round pick on the tight end, and that guy has become insignificant because of the rise of Tucker Kraft. It's so fun to watch him make plays. He's so dangerous. And you add him into an offense that's already dangerous with all these receivers that they now have at their disposal with Christian Watson now back in the fold. So it's a really dangerous offense that they've put around Jordan Love. I do know Zach Tom went down tonight. Hopefully that's not a serious injury that he sustained because he's such a big part of what they do up front on that offensive line at the right tackle position. So it felt like they had just gotten healthy and they were feeling good about their offensive line. And now this may have, derailed that. We'll see. Hopefully it's nothing serious there. But ultimately, this was a tremendous second half performance by the Packers offense. Despite missing some field goals in the first half, despite, not having this game go the way you wanted it to in the first half, to overcome that adversity, come out in the second half, force a field goal, and then from that point on, just take over this game. That was really impressive to do it on the road. And I know that Packers fans travel. There are a lot of, Packers fans at the game, like there always is. But that was impressive to go on the road, tough environment, overcome a slow start to this game, get hot, keep your foot down on the gas pedal, and never let up. And that's essentially what they did, to the tune of 28 unanswered points, from a 19-7 deficit to a 35-19 lead with less than 5 minutes to go in this game. Truly amazing transformation in this game for the Packers. But Jordan Love spearheaded it, with the 21 or 22, whatever that number was, consecutive completions, including some deep ones, a couple of big hits to Tucker Kraft, really getting Christian Watson back involved with a big, throw to him down the field. This offense has the makings of an offense that can be very potent, with a defense that has the makings of a defense that can be very disruptive. Would like to see them create more turnovers, but the pressure is starting to mount. They got to Rodgers. They made him uncomfortable tonight. We saw Parsons heat up last week against Arizona with the 3 sacks. So the defense is starting to rev it up. They're starting to get those stops. They're starting to get to the opposing team's quarterback. Now, if they can start to get some turnovers, which they were able to generate tonight, if they can start to take the football away, it makes this Green Bay Packers team that much more dangerous. Big win on the road, 5-1-1 now on the season. I like what this Packers team is doing, and I like the confidence that Jordan Love has played with this season. There's a different level of poise that I'm seeing from him this year. And if he keeps that up, it'll make this Packers team that much more dangerous come January, potentially into February. Meanwhile, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I got to ask you guys this. Does this Steelers team seem any different than the one last year with Russell Wilson at quarterback? It's just funny because every year, and I remember saying this last year, every year the Steelers feel like they go out, get some other veteran quarterback to come in there. We talk shit about this veteran quarterback because, you know, the Steelers have a good defense. And if this quarterback could just get this offense to play well, this Steelers team could be dangerous. And then every year we look up, this offense is stagnant. It's not good enough. They don't score enough points. Now, honestly, the defense isn't any good. You know, that's the biggest issue. It's not this offense. It feels like the same, you know, rhetoric offensively, because I don't think anybody's afraid of this offense with Aaron Rodgers at the helm, right? Going out and getting DK. This was supposed to be this dynamic offense, and they're still in 2-3 tight end sets, right? It doesn't feel explosive and dynamic. You got all these different guys that you should be able to get the football to. It was good to see Wilson finally feel like a part of this offense. He made a big play early in the football game, then had the touchdown catch late in the game. So maybe they need to start getting him a little bit more involved. Like Roman Wilson is a guy you spent the second-round pick on to be a factor in this offense. So start treating him as such and giving him opportunities. But, you know, Austin just got back, so we'll see if they can start to work him into the offense. But, you know, Calvin Austin can be a dynamic, you know, playmaker for you. But we see so much of the running backs. We see so many of the tight ends. I mean, like he threw I think at one point, Rodgers had 10 completions, and there were like 9 of them were to different receivers. Like, that's cool that you're spreading the ball around, but it just feels like the same shit Russell Wilson was doing last year. Dink and dunk, no explosiveness, settling for field goals. The only difference was it felt like the Steelers defensively were better last year. They're not getting to the quarterback. Like, we talk all about this secondary, and they talked so much tonight. Chris Collinsworth did about this secondary. They put, you know, so much money into it. And Mike Tirico, too, talked about this secondary. They put so much money and resources into this secondary. And they did. They went out and they traded for Jalen Ramsey. They went out and they signed Darius Slay, right? Obviously, they drafted Joey Porter Jr. with a first-round pick. So they've spent resources. If I'm not mistaken, they traded Minka. I'm about to say they traded for it, but they traded him away, Minka Fitzpatrick. But they've done all those things in the secondary, but it's the front seven right now that's letting them down. This used to be a ferocious front with Watt, Herbig, Highsmith, and Cam Hayward, and it was just so tough to be able to get into a consistent rhythm throwing the football, because at any moment Watt could wreck the game. Highsmith could wreck the game. Is it Highsmith or Hightower? Not Hightower. I think what is it? No, I'm not tripping. It's Hightower, right? No, it's Highsmith. What am I talking about? The hell is his name? Jesus, I gotta look it up. I think I just saw like the U 30 for 30. They had Highsmith, and I think it's just like corrupting my brain right now. Steelers edge high. I think it's Highsmith. Yeah, Alex Highsmith. I don't know. Hightower just corrupted my brain. But yeah, Alex Highsmith. You got Herbig, you got TJ Watt, you got Cam Hayward, who's, you know, finally, it feels like Father Time is finally tapping him on the damn shoulder and saying, bro, it's about that time. But then you got Derek Harmon, who was supposed to be a guy that gave you a boost up front. And it's just like they're not getting to the quarterback. Joe Flacco had all day to throw last week. Jordan Love had all day to throw in this game. And they don't seem like they're very athletic. I know you got Patrick Queen at the linebacker position. Peyton Wilson's supposed to be a guy that can run really well. It just doesn't – I don't feel that speed when I watch the Steelers play. I don't feel that ferocity, and I don't feel like this is a defense that affects the game enough in the front seven. And so it puts a lot of pressure on that back end that is hit or miss. Like, you don't really know. And now Deshaun Elliott got hurt tonight. That's going to put more strain and stress on that back end that was already, you know, up and down, up and down, up and down. And so you take a defense now that used to affect the game. It doesn't really, to me, at this point, affect the game enough. You take an offense that, for as long as we can remember, since Roethlisberger lost his fastball, because even at the end of the Roethlisberger era, like, you can always see this thing coming where you're like, man, it's over, bro. Like, we saw it with Peyton. It's over, bro. We saw it with Roethlisberger. It's over, bro. It's like Russell Wilson. It's over, bro. It's starting to feel like that with Rodgers. Like, it's probably over, bro. Like, it's not as definitive as some of these other ones that we've seen. Like, yo, it's over. Like, Brady felt like he could have still played if he wanted to, but he wasn't the same Brady anymore. But he could have still played. But this Steelers offense it looks like how it always looks. It doesn't look any different. You traded for DK, you went out and got Aaron Rodgers, and it still looks the same. It still looks slow. It still looks sluggish. It still looks too damn big and beefy in terms of tight ends always on the damn field, mucking shit up. I don't feel like, even when you spread out opposing defense and you let Aaron Rodgers work, it still doesn't feel like the ball's being pushed down the field vertically at all. It still feels like it's just being spread out for him to throw some type of quick hitting screen or something. Maybe because they can't protect. I don't know. But the Packers weren't doing anything super complicated up front. Maybe the coverages that Rodgers was seeing and looking at was confusing him, or at least making him uneasy about cutting it loose. But they weren't doing anything super creative up front other than just using Micah Parsons, which is what they're supposed to do. And and Rodgers just didn't look comfortable, and he was running into sacks, and he wasn't getting rid of the football. And so this is not a championship level team in Pittsburgh. They're not the best team in their division. The problem is, then who right now? With Burrow being out and the Bengals defense still being a sieve, losing to the Jets today, right? Giving up 39 to an offense that might not have scored 39 points combined over the last month. But you give that up in the game on Sunday this afternoon. It can't be Cincinnati. Their defense stinks. I still think, and I've said this already, that the Baltimore Ravens, even when they got off to the slow start, now when they got to 1-5, I was like, I don't know, Jim. I don't know if they can turn it around. But the Steelers have left the door open. They've left the door ajar. They've left the door ajar. And I think the Ravens, with Lamar set to come back on Thursday night, they're going to beat the Dolphins. They're going to get to 3-5. I said the same thing about, the Bengals, like, oh, they're going to beat the Jets next week. They're going to get to, well, they didn't, right? They're going to get to 3-4, and all of a sudden they're going to be one game back of first place. Well, they blew that opportunity. But this Steelers schedule, we've talked about it. We talked about it last week. Not getting any easier. It's only getting tougher. Got the Colts coming to town next week. I mean, I'm not saying you can't beat them, but that's going to be a hell of a task, right? Got the Chargers on Sunday Night Football the week after that. That's going to be tough. Eventually, you're going to have to play the Ravens because you haven't played them at all this season yet. It feels like they're heading in the wrong direction. It does. It does. Tonight was a winnable game. It really was, until it wasn't. And it's the same. It just feels like the same shit over and over again with the Steelers. Not enough offensive production. And now you add in the element of the defense isn't very good. And that's something that's a little bit new, but the defense hasn't been elite for years. But it felt like they could carry their own weight. Doesn't even feel like the defense is carrying its own weight right now. The only unit that seems to be consistent and steady is special teams. Chris Boswell is a machine. He's a machine. And it's the only thing that is in proper working order in Pittsburgh right now, it feels like. So they blow a 12-point lead in the third quarter, give up 28 unanswered points, find themselves trailing late in this game by 16, 35-19, end up losing this game 35-25 due to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Green Bay Packers, excellent second half, dominant second half. Jordan Love was absolutely remarkable in the second half of this game. And so was the Packers defense. Coming to life, creating turnovers, really getting to Aaron Rodgers, flustering him in that offense. And the beauty of, you don't score 28 unanswered points without getting stops, forcing turnovers, or something of the sort. You can't continue momentum if you don't stop the other team from breaking it up. I always talk about shutdown drives. After you score, that's what the Packers did time and time again. After they scored that first touchdown to cut the deficit to 5 at 19-14, they went out, they got another stop, got the ball back, took the lead, forced a turnover, turned that into another touchdown, got another stop, turned that into more points, forced another turnover, turned that into another field goal. And so you got to get stops in order to have 28 unanswered points, and the defense stepped up for them in the game. So that is the breakdown of this game. Essentially, the Packers were the better team. They dominated the second half, came out sluggish and slow in the first half, kind of played that Steelers game, woke up from their slumber in the second half, and then commenced into full ass whoop mode, put up 28 unanswered, and really took control of this game. And so they get the win 35-25. Now we're 5-1-1, stay atop the NFC North division, ahead of the Lions, who are sitting at 4-2 on a bye week. Meanwhile, the Steelers, they seem to be going in the wrong direction. All they had to do was win Thursday. That's it. Beat the lowly Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. They couldn't do it. If they would have done that, they would have been sitting here at 5-2 right now. Despite this loss, they would have been 5-2. They still would have been 3 games clear of the next team in the division. Cleveland's at 2-5, or excuse me, Baltimore's at 2-5. The Bengals would have been at 2-5, and they would have been in the clear. Instead, now you're at 3-4. Everybody else sits at 2-5, but that distance is closing. The Ravens are about to get hot. Ravens are about to get hot, and you're going to continue to struggle because your schedule is getting tougher and tougher and tougher. So let's go ahead and get to the skill game, brought to you by Sleeper. And then we will get to your comments. Let's get to the skill game, brought to you by Sleeper.
The skill game brought to you by Sleeper.
All right. So Sleeper is a fantasy sports real money gaming app that focuses on bringing people together through sports and gaming. Sleeper has become the fastest organically growing fantasy platform in the world, with over 6 million active users back in 2023. It is now 2025. I would assume that this platform continues to grow because of people like myself and you out there who are now using this beautiful app. I can't get enough of this thing. Now, I'm on this thing all the time. Now that the NBA has started, I am just, and you know what I told myself? Greed gets the best of us sometimes. And I know what I need to do. Like, I just need to take the little wins. And if you stack up enough little wins, and that's what I'm about to start doing. I'm about to change the whole way that I approach this. I'm going to start stacking up some little wins, building my weight up, and then I can start being greedy, right? But slow money is better than no money. You can't go broke making a profit. These are things that a wise man once told me. Slow money is better than no money. Slow progress is better than no progress. So I got to stop being greedy. wanting that big buck and say, hey, how do I keep a solid profit coming in? I'm about to show y'all how I'm about to freak this thing moving forward. But tonight, these were the picks. You saw this on the skill game. I talked about my philosophy. You know, I've always got a philosophy. It never seems to come to fruition, but it always makes sense, right? So tonight's philosophy was simple. I thought the Steelers were going to lull them to sleep, which they did in the first half. Everything was working according to plan. Metcalf had his touchdown in the first half. I said that he would, right? Christian Watson, I said, oh, he's back. I didn't know he was back, but he was on the app, and I said, oh, he wouldn't be here if they didn't think he would be back. I said, well, if he's back, he's going to catch the football more than twice. He's their best receiver. So if he's back, they're going to throw it to him. If he's not back, then Sleeper's not going to count it against me. So he's back. The 1.5 receptions, I would assume that number is going to go up to like 2, 3.5 next week, because they're just not going to give Christian Watson away every week from here on out. They're not going to give you the opportunity to get a free one on them. So that number is going to rise because he's going to catch the football 3 to 4 times every week. So I had to take advantage of that. Josh Jacobs is a touchdown machine, just like Jonathan Taylor. Josh Jacobs, you can go ahead and pencil him for a touchdown. Devin Achane, Jahmyr Gibbs. There are certain running backs in this league. You can go ahead and put them down for a touchdown. In the case of Jonathan Taylor, you probably can put him down for 2 every week, right? So Nuke Jacobs was going to find pay dirt. I thought, and so with the Steelers, they're hit or miss because you just don't know if they're going to go into the tank offensively, if they're going to score. I already had DK on a touchdown. I probably should have just said, you know what? That's enough, because you don't know if they're going to score another. But I thought they were going to score 2 touchdowns, and they did. My problem was I thought the other one was going to Pat Freiermuth. Instead, it went to Roman Wilson, right? So got caught up there. So yeah, you rolled the dice. It didn't come up nice. Kenneth Gainwell let me down because he had the fumble. And had he not fumbled that one, they were in like we gotta go mode. And so he's the guy that's going to be out there when you're throwing a football. He's the back that they feel more comfortable with catching it out of the back. So he's going to catch the football because Aaron Rodgers is going to keep checking it down, on that gotta have it drive. After he fumbled, Tomlin got pissed off, took him out of the game. He didn't come back in. So that killed any opportunity of him getting. All he needed was 3 catches. He already had 2. And the second one was the one he fumbled on. So he kind of screwed me there. And I just kept saying, Tucker Kraft, stop scoring touchdowns, bro. You're killing me, Smalls. Get down to about the 4 or the 5 so they can throw that slant to Romeo Doubs so I can get this touchdown. Stop playing with me. I just never got into that opportunity. They either gave it to Jacobs, he ran it in, or Tucker Kraft was just taking over the game and he was scoring the touchdown. So kind of got screwed there, but it's all good. Ultimately, I don't hate the ticket I put together. It just, it just didn't work out for me. But I got an idea of how I want to approach things in terms of getting some winners moving forward. I'm gonna start getting some winners in the NBA. I'm gonna continue to be aggressive with my NFL picks. Gonna have another one tomorrow, obviously, with the Commanders and the Chiefs. So I'll have a skill game for you tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. But if you haven't already downloaded this app, you already see what kind of fun we're having here. And as I've told you so many times before, it does not take a lot of money to win money. And there's greed that takes place. Like I said, when you see the amount of money that is here to be had, you get greedy. And it's easy to be like, okay, I can just add one more pick to my ticket and it'll bolster the amount that it's worth. And you just got to be able to say, no, this is good enough right here. What I got right here is good enough for me. And it might not be but $80-$90. That's okay. And I have to tell myself, bro, you'll have other tickets that are worth $1,200, $2,000, et cetera, et cetera. Those are harder to hit, obviously. Take the ability to get your little 50, 60, 70 and put some money in the bank and then go after it, right? So y'all about to see me devise this beautiful plan. I had a nice whole weekend to sit here and just kind of think about how I was going to do this. So I'm looking forward to showing y'all my work. over the next, we'll call it month or so, right? Louie T is going to get you paid. Download this app. Use my promo code LTN to get you 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. That's right, a dollar for dollar match. You put in 100, they're going to give you an additional 100 to spend. And now in the month of October, download the app, verify, make sure it's available in your area, available in over 25 states, Sleeper is. Once you've done all of that good stuff, they'll give you $20 free. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to deposit any money. They will start you out with $20 free. How do you beat that? And as I've said, a lot of these bets that I'm making, 600, 700, 900. These are all $10 bets. These are $10 wagers on this Sleeper app. I had a wager the other day with the NBA picks. And like I said, you don't have to limit yourself to the NFL. I'm all over this NFL or NBA stuff. I had an NBA ticket that was worth over $2,000. I missed it by two. I missed it by 2 rebounds and a 3-pointer. So, look, it's it's about to get real interesting. Come be a part of this fun, but more importantly, come put some money in your pocket. Download the Sleeper app, use my promo code LTN, and let's get it popping. All right. So that's the skill game brought to you by Sleeper.
The skill game brought to you by Sleeper.
All right. So let's get to the comment section. See what you guys have to say. If there's nothing there, I will get out of here. I don't see any super chats. See a lot of conversation between people in the comment section that is not really addressed to me. So I'm about to bounce. Been a long weekend. I just got home like an hour and a half ago. So really haven't even been home really good right now. So I think I'm about to bounce. Samuel says he knew that the Jets were going to win as soon as he heard Nick Mangold died. That was sad to see that he passed away from a kidney disease. I didn't even think about it from that perspective. That didn't even cross my mind that that the football gods would have it that they get their first win today after he passed. But that's a really good observation there. Samuel also says this is what the Cowboys defense looks like when they don't play a team with their top 3 receivers out. And that's what I tried to tell my dad. I was like, boss, like, and he knows their defense is ass. I'm not sitting here trying to convince you that he thought the defense was fixed and cured because of what they did against us. But he said, we're getting better. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're not getting better. You just played against a team that was as decimated by injuries as you've seen all season. You haven't seen an offense this bad, so you haven't been able to get your shit off, which is what you were able to do. You got the pick 6. It felt like old times, right? You got Deron Bland with a pick 6. You're forcing turnovers, right? You're getting off the field defensively. Yeah, I bet it felt great. It's short-lived because you're not good. And that's why I said I laughed last week when I saw that Jerry Jones was calling up all these teams trying to get a pass rusher. Like, that's the only thing that's stopping Dallas from being a contender you had Micah Parsons on your team, dummy. And you traded him away because you lied to the fan base and told them we need to stop the run. Hey, J.K. Dobbins over 100 yards today, buddy. You're not stopping the run either. So this clown, like Jerry's such a clown because you had a pass rusher, one of the best in football, and you let him and you traded him away, and now you're trying to replace him with old ass Trey Hendrickson or Max Crosby. Those guys aren't better than Michael Parsons. Dumb. It's crazy. But again, not my problem. Not my problem. Sheree says thoughts on the Broncos overall after today. A lot of people were picking Dallas to win. I wasn't one of them. I knew Denver was going to win this game because defensively, Denver is a good team. It's one of the better defenses Dallas had seen this season. The last time Dallas saw a half-decent defense with Chicago. We saw what happened in that game. Green Bay was supposed to be able to do some of those things to them. And I don't know what the hell happened to Green Bay's defense that night, but Dallas went berserk on them, scored 40. But, you know, the Panthers defense was solid, but it wasn't, you know, it's not an earth-shattering defense. They just play hard. That's what I told my dad. I said, you're supposed to beat the Panthers, but just know they play really hard. And if you don't match their level of energy and tenacity and physicality, they will beat you. And they didn't match it that day. But that's not a great Carolina defense. We saw that against Buffalo today. They make mistakes and things of that nature, and they can get out of control quickly. But ultimately, this was the best defense I think Dallas has seen this season. And when you saw the end result, Dak didn't look sharp today, turned it over twice. And off defensively, they stink. And anytime they run into a team that can score, they're going to give it up. So you're not a pass rusher away from fixing this defense. This is why I said if you're a Commanders fan, you're the only hope to the Eagles not repeating in the NFC because Dallas can't do it. And that's why the Eagles fans wanted us to lose to Dallas, because they know that we're the one threat to them in the division. But they're not getting off scot-free. The Eagles have a bye this upcoming week. They need it because Saquon has a hamstring injury. AJ just missed a game with a hammy. They're going to come off that bye, and Green Bay is going to be waiting for them on the other side, and then their schedule gets real. And that's – now, we can't worry about Philadelphia, because if we don't start winning games, and all that shit is irrelevant. But their schedule is about to get real, and if we can get healthy, and we'll see if we can stay healthy. It's one thing to get healthy. Can you stay healthy? We can get our shit together. We got a shot. But anyway, I digress. Big win for Denver. I expected Denver to win that game. Denver's a good football team. And when it's all said and done, when the dust settles, the smoke clears, they're going to be one of the best 7 teams in the AFC, and they will be a playoff team, assuming they stay healthy and that, you know, Bo Nix doesn't go crazy and start turning the ball over, which I don't see happening. That's a good football team. I saw Patrick Surtain get injured today. Hopefully he's okay, because you need him, because Riley Moss, like, he does have a really tough job as the guy opposite of PS2. He gets a lot of targets. I think he's getting that treatment now where the officials throw the flag on him even when it's not warranted, because that's what he's the most penalized defensive back in the league. You can't have him out there, though, on an island. Can't have him out there on an island. You got to have PS2 out there. So if you can stay healthy, I think that team's going to be around when it's all said and done. Abel Ambrosio, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Daboll was heated on the 4th down tush push. Daboll was heated a lot today. I thought he got hosed on a couple of calls. That 4th down tush push, he absolutely got jobbed. That was a fumble. And this is why you have to get rid of the tush push, because they don't officiate the play correctly. There was no forward progress stopped. He's still reaching the ball out. He doesn't know where he is, if he's gotten the first down or not. He's on top of bodies. He's reaching the ball out, and it was taken from him. That is a fumble, okay? Any way you look at it, that is a fumble, and that is bullshit that they did not award the Giants of football. They were hosed several times in that game. They called a push off on Slayton on a touchdown that would have kept them in the game. That was a bogus call. There were so many calls in that game that went against them that, look, they weren't going to win the game. They weren't the better team. Like, they're not going to sit here and act as if these plays were the reason they lost, but it didn't help their cause, right? It didn't help them. So they got hosed today, and losing Scatterbo is just brutal. Just brutal. But it is what it is, right? It is what it is. I digress. So that Sheree asked, who do you trust more, Denver or New England? I think I trust the Denver Broncos more right now. I trust Mike Vrabel more than I trust Sean Payton. I think Mike Vrabel is a better coach than Sean Payton. I think he's a better motivator. Like X's and O's wise, like Peyton's fantastic offensively, but as a actual coach, a leader of men, that's Mike Vrabel. And then I believe Drake May is better than Bo Nix. So I could easily lean towards New England, but I'm going with the team that has experience. Denver went through what New England is going through this year, right? Which is you got to get over the hump. You got to make it to the playoffs, experience what that is like, go through those battles, and then you can come out on the other side with those battle scars and be ready to take on the challenge of doing it again. Denver's already ahead of where New England is. New England is doing what Denver did last year, right? New England is trying to find a way into the postseason and see what that's like. Denver's already done that. Denver knows they're capable. And so I have more trust in Denver because they've gone through those wars already. New England has not. So, but if you're just looking at the quarterback and the head coach, I'd take New England. But I know that Denver's been through those wars already, and New England has not. This is all new to that team. So there will be pitfalls for New England. There will be pitfalls. They'll lose a game or two to an opponent that they're not supposed to lose to. And, you know, it wouldn't shock me if they lost 3 out of 4, you know, over the next month and a half. It wouldn't shock me if they had a stretch like that because they got to figure it out. They're playing excellent football right now, but they got to figure it out. So we'll see. How likely is Jaden Daniels to play next week on Sunday night? There's a shot. There's a shot. I still don't think he's playing, but I can tell you this. If they didn't think Jaden was playing, they put up a Sunday Night Football chyron when they promoted the game for next week, Seahawks versus Commanders on Sunday Night Football. If they didn't think he was playing, like they already knew he wasn't, even before it was announced. Monday Night Football had already changed all their graphics to reflect that Marcus Mariota was starting. So they already knew that Jaden wasn't playing in that game. They know that there's an outside shot at him playing. So they put Jaden Daniels on the graphic tonight. So that tells you that because the league communicates with these teams. That's how they promote these games. So there's a chance. Now, again, there's no guarantees. I still think he's not playing next week, but there's a much better chance of him playing next week than it was the second week of his knee injury when he missed the game against Atlanta, when there was no chance he was playing that week. This is a greater chance of him playing with the hamstring. But again, I still think he doesn't come back until the Detroit game in week number 10. That's where my mind is, but we'll see. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me. Your man Louie T here on Sunday Night Football Overtime. Packers get it done in a dominant second half where they scored 28 unanswered points after trailing this game 16-7 at the half and was down by as many as 12 in the third quarter at 19-7 before getting hot. Jordan Love was ridiculous in the second half of this game. At one point had 22, I believe, consecutive completions. Led the Packers on, I believe, 5 consecutive scoring drives that amassed 28 total points. I think they scored 3 touchdowns, a 2-point conversion, and 2 field goals. That's 5 possessions straight of scoring drives for the Green Bay Packers. He was outstanding. And the defense came to life, got stops, got sacks, got turnovers. And this Packers team dominated the Steelers in the second half en route to a 35-25 victory. Packers remain atop the NFC North division at 5-1-1. Meanwhile, the Steelers dropped their second in a row. However, they are still 2 full games clear of second place in their division at 4-3. But again, it feels like the walls are starting to close in on this Steelers football team. They're not finding ways to get it done. And you could argue that their start to the season was a mirage. They easily could have lost to Minnesota. They should have lost to New England. They were winning games, felt like on borrowed credit and borrowed time. Now it's time to pay up. Doesn't feel like they have the funds. And it wouldn't be shocking to me to see someone like Baltimore come off the pace at 1-5, now 2-5, with Lamar Jackson set to come back on Thursday Night Football versus the Miami Dolphins. It would not shock me to see the Ravens come off the pace, come back, and win this division. It wouldn't shock me if Cincinnati hung in there until Flacco came back and they put their name in the hat. But it doesn't feel like the Steelers are going to win this division. It does not feel like they are going to win the division. So they fall tonight, 35-25. And we'll see what these two teams do moving forward. Feels like Green Bay is ascending. It feels like the Pittsburgh Steelers are descending. So it looks like two different trajectories for these two different ball clubs, but tons of football left to be played. Both teams have 10 games left. So we'll see what happens. But as I said before, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. Until next time, you guys get out of here. Have a great rest of your evening. We will be back tomorrow. Tons of content for you tomorrow. Commanders, Chiefs. You got the post game for that one. You have the skill game for that one. You got a Commanders Nightly News episode where I give you my prediction for the game, keys to victory, all that good stuff. So a ton of content coming out on this channel tomorrow. Hopefully you will be a part of that. But in any event, you guys take care. God bless. Oh, and the Steelers jerseys were just as hideous as we thought they were going to be in seeing them live and in color. Yuck. They're even, I think they're worse. Now, I did like the helmets. I did like the matte helmets with the gold and the yellow and the black stripe down the middle. I did like that. I will admit. The jerseys themselves were hideous. Which ones are worse? Those are the bumblebees. I think the bumblebees are worse. Like, these aren't as bad as the bumblebees, I think, but yeah, no, these were disgustingly nasty. Anyhow, that's going to do it for me. Your man, Louie T. Until next time, peace.